Hey, good morning, everybody. Looks like we have a lot of attendees today. Appreciate everybody making their time to look at our BidTabs program in the webinar today. Just for a couple people who aren't too familiar with us, before I get into our intro here, for the people who aren't familiar with the GoToMeeting webinar, we are going to be answering questions at the end of it. And if you would like to submit a question, you can do so on the right side of your screen using the webinar tool. And it looks like we have a couple, familiar names in here, as well as some new names. So just for the people who aren't too familiar with Omen Systems, I kind of wanted to introduce to you guys who we are. So Omen Systems has actually been in the construction industry for about 135 years. It all started with John Omen in 1881, the namesake of our now CEO and founder. He was awarded a bridge contract for Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis, which led to the creation of Omen Construction. And then over the next few decades, we worked on a lot of noteworthy projects. Some to mention is the Panama Canal during World War II, the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, as well as the Alcan Highway, which was a strategic route for our military, which helped us win the World War II. And it's with that impressive background and heritage that Omen Systems was founded in 1992 by our current CEO and founder, John Omen. John used his experience and knowledge in the construction industry, as well as the new technology that was showing up in that day, to really streamline some of the business processes that he was doing from day to day. And he created BidTabs with those principles in mind. So he created BidTabs to help contractors, as well as different agencies, access more data for DOT and state jobs, as well as analyze that data in a lot better way. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Will Pepper, one of our territory managers here, to walk us through our BidTabs program.
Hey everybody, hope everyone's doing well on this great Friday. And Paul, I appreciate the introduction. Like he said, my name is Will Pepper. I'm one of the territory managers here at Omen Systems, and really excited to show you guys our program BidTabs today. So just to kind of give you a little background first of all, and kind of lay the stage here. BidTabs Plus is first of all the leading source of DOT data. And we do have data for all 50 states, and that is also including 8 supplemental databases. And what you're going to see is no one has the amount of data or the depth that we do and that we provide for our customers. And we'll go through the program and show that today. So really the purpose and the goal of BidTabs was just to create a quick search system to be able to look up historical data, also to be able to search for stuff like rare pay items, maybe on a job that pop up you're not as familiar with, and then also get a good idea of who your competitors are, what they're bidding, all their pricing. I know a lot of people know their prices out there, but it doesn't really matter unless you know what your competition's bidding. So that's what our system was created and designed to do, is to be able to help with those things. So that way we can help you be more competitive, win more bids, and also keep more money on the jobs that you do and not leave so much on the table. So my goal today is really to show you a few things. I want to show you, first of all, how BidTabs is used over the life of the estimate. So starting from beginning to end, and we'll walk through and I'll kind of point out and emphasize certain areas where we're going to use the program throughout that process. And then the other one is to show how different groups use BidTabs. So we do have multiple groups that are using it. So we'll show different areas, how different groups use those. And then the other one is just to show the depth and amount of data that we have to offer. This is publicly issued data, but we do provide so many more sources beyond that by allowing you to be able to manipulate numbers and be able to look at certain things you want to, competition, graphs, all kinds of stuff on top of any kind of data that you can find out there. So first of all, just to get started, like I mentioned, we do work with multiple groups. Just to kind of name a few, first of all, we work with DOTs. We do have a few that use this program. We have engineering groups, subcontractors, universities, as well as primes that are using this program. So it's a very versatile program. As you can see with all those groups, it is a very powerful system that a lot of people utilize and is part of their success. So on that note, we'll go ahead and get started. So I believe everyone can see my screen here. And let me go ahead and get this pulled up here. Give me just a second. All right. So here on the screen, what you'll see is this is the main page. And the first thing I kind of want to do just to explain what we're looking at is you'll notice the tabs up here at the top. So these are the different tabs within the system. Now you'll notice a couple page breaks. There's one here kind of on the left and then one here over on the right. So the way that we split these up is intentional, and what you're going to see on the left, these are going to be more of kind of your more granular reports. So if you're wanting to dig deeper into, you know, a contractor, get more information on a competitor, or maybe on a specific job, you want to look up, you know, break it down, see different categories, break down, see different pay items, what people bid, you can do that. You can search pay items, and then also you can do a pay item search, so hard to find or rare pay items, by using descriptions. So really kind of a granular aspect of it. The middle section is going to be more of our kind of 30,000 foot view, as we call it. It's going to be more summary reports. So this is where, beyond the data, where BidTabs is going to be very powerful and help you out. So being able to see, for instance, a market analysis, who are the biggest players, who has the most jobs, who's, you know, bid the most dollar amount. Also looking up a competitor analysis. So, you know, maybe for a specific competitor, who are they competing up against the most, being able to see their figures. And then a contractor analysis, so being able to see different jobs that have been let, who won them, how much they were won on, and just being able to start at that kind of macro approach and then work your way down to the left over here and get more granular. And then the final part is our BidTabs Plus. This is probably one of the most powerful parts of the program. Really goes beyond just the data, but what it allows you to do is see where you stack up against competition, see where you stack up against state averages. You can look up county averages, any kind of region, stuff like that. Maybe you're not as familiar with the region, you're wanting to grow and expand your business into new areas. That's a great place where you can see, okay, you know, if we're bidding on this job, how do we stack up against these averages, or, you know, the averages against a competitor, things like that. So we'll dive deeper into that part. So the first part that we'll go through is going to be the market analysis. So kind of like I said, we'll go through, and this is where we'll go through the life of the bid and show how different people use it. So on that first part, we'll start with the macro high level approach. So we're just wanting to see who are the biggest players in our market. Now for this example, I did use, if you notice up in the top right corner, I'm just using one of our licenses, which is, we're going to use the state of Kentucky as an example. And this report, I'll just kind of go through it, even though I've got some figures you'll notice here. Basically, we have a few different report types. So you can see, you know, market share, or who has the most number of jobs, the value of jobs bid, and then so on. I just did a market share on this one. You can also whittle it down, and we have all project types. So if you're maybe wanting to focus on who does the most amount of asphalt work or maybe bridge work, you can whittle down the data to show you that. So maybe these companies don't really apply to the type of work you do. You just want to see who else does bridge work, because that's maybe our bread and butter. The other categories you can look at, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the main category that we just took a look at, I did mean to mention that we split it up into one of 31 different categories. So that way you can look at the specific job types that you would like. And then moving down here, now we can select the location that we want to look at. And this is where you can really analyze the data how you specifically want to see it and tailor it to your approach. So you can, first of all, as you can see, you can look at all the counties. Maybe there's a specific one in Kentucky you want to take a look at. We do this, and this is the same across the board for all the states. You can take a look at a specific county, see what who the biggest players are, or you can look at it by region. We have them split up how every single DOT has it, so you can see all the regions here. And something I want to point out on the region section is maybe there's a region you want to look at, but it's not a specific region within a DOT that's already set up. So all you do is hit this setup button, and then as you go through here, you can create a custom region that is specifically the counties and the region that you want to look at. So I'll go ahead and hit add custom region here at the bottom left, and this is how you'll set it up. So we'll just set it up as demo 123. So now once I've created that, you'll see it highlighted it. It's got the new one over here. And now in order to create my custom region, all I've got to do is just click on the counties that I want to include. And so this way I can pull the figures for these specific areas that I want. So all you do once you select those counties is you'll hit Save Changes and Close, and then you'll have that region. So now we can look up the figures for that specific region. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it at all counties, but that's how you would do that. And then the final section is the predefined range. So a few different ways you can look at the years here. If first of all, I wanted to look up, specific date range. Well, and this is actually a question that comes up a lot, is how far back does your data go? Just an example here in Kentucky, if I scroll all the way down, we go back to 1993. So we're listing nearly 30 years of data that you can draw from the system. You can also look up from certain years, or you can just do a predefined range. And that's what I did to pull up this report here. You can also look up project size as well. Maybe you don't want to look at small ones, you're only focused on huge jobs. You could set up that. So I just hit generate report, and this is what pops up. So it's going to show the total of all low bids right here. It's going to list who the biggest players are. So we have like ATS Construction, Scotty's, we have Jim Smith, Bizac, and actually reading through this list, I think it's at least the first 7 here are actually clients of ours. So really kind of a testament to how powerful this program is and really utilizing the data that you have at your fingertips. These are the biggest players in the state, and they're all BidTabs clients. So the next portion that we'll look through, now that, like I said, we're moving through the life of the bid, now that we've analyzed who the biggest players are, maybe now we want to focus in on Scotty specifically as an example. So what I'll do on the next portion is I will go to the competitor analysis. So when we do the competitor analysis, this is where I can pull in that competitor I wanted to, which is Scotty's in this case. So you can type in their name, and we'll click, select them right here. We're not going to select a specific competitor. We just want to kind of leave that open, but you can do that here just to compare them maybe to somebody specific. Same thing with the counties and the regions. I'm just going to leave it open to all counties. So we'll look at the whole state, and we'll look at the last 3 as well. So I'll go ahead and generate this report. So what the competitor analysis is going to show is, now that we've seen all the big players, we wanted to focus specifically on Scotty's. So moving to the competitor analysis. So now we're able to see Scotty specifically, who are the biggest competitors they go up against. So we got Charles DeWeese, got Road Builders, Louisville Paving, and so on. It's going to list all of their numbers here. So as far as the number of bids that they've had, average bidders within those jobs that they've bid for, their average position, my average position, our success rate against them. And then also, just not to go through all the figures, but it'll give you this information here as well. So as you can see, this report is going to be a little bit different too. It's going to show Scotty's information as well. So over the last 3 years that we've chosen, got 230 bids. It's going to give that same information up here. And also it's going to show Scotty's, maybe if we're Scotty's, we're going to see how much money are we leaving on the table, what percentage of the job. So we can see that up here as well. So now that we've looked at the biggest players, we've also taken a look at, if we were Scotty's, who we're competing against the most. Now it's going to move us to the next section, which is our BidTabs Plus. And like I said, this is one of the most powerful sections, talking with our clients who've been with us for years, even going back to the 90s. This is where they really utilize the program to start comparing themselves against state averages, competitors, things like that, which we'll go through. So the first thing that I'll mention is, you'll notice there's multiple folders over here. You can create as many folders and jobs as you would like. In this case, I just got it selected on our demo here. But on this one specifically, like I mentioned, multiple groups use our program. This is where, for instance, engineering groups could create their engineering estimate. This is another section where maybe contractors could use this as their figure for their bid bond and show exactly what the job is, or maybe just as a competitor, or I'm sorry, just as going into a job, you're just saying, do I even want to bid on this, or is it out of my wheelhouse? Just to get a quick idea of, what is this job going to be going for? Do I even want to mess with it? So in this case, what we'll do is pretty simple. All you have to do is click Add Project. We'll click that here, and it'll bring up this window. So first of all, you'll select the state that your project's in. Got all the states listed there. We'll choose Kentucky. And then for our project ID, let's see, the project ID that I want to use for this job is, let's say 2020-1036. So we're going to use a job that already has been bid, but still going to show the power of how this program and specifically BidTabs Plus is going to help. So on the description here, this is a LaRue County job. So we'll just type in that for the description, and location happens to be the same. So we'll type that in as well. Then you can do your pay item sort. So as you can see on the drop down, multiple areas you can do this or sort it. I'm just going to stick with just basic pay items. You'll list your bid date, and then once you've done that, then you'll just hit how you want to load the pay items. So maybe it's straight from a DOT file. Maybe you want to batch load this. In this case, I have a spreadsheet I've already typed out my figures on, so I'm going to hit spreadsheet, and then you'll load up the spreadsheet that you want to use. So obviously you'll save that spreadsheet. All you'll do is click load file, and then on this one, and actually I think I've got it already typed in here, but you'll type in your job you want, and we'll just go ahead and hit open. And as you can see, how this is going to work is you're just going to simply say which line do you want your spreadsheet to start at and load into the program, which one do you want to end it on, and then you'll go through and I had this set up, pretty clean, but it is an easy process just to say, maybe this is column A, that's B, that's C, and so on. You'll match those up with, maybe column A lists the pay item IDs, maybe column B lists the pay item descriptions. So you'll just line those up in here, and then you'll hit next to preview that import. Make sure it all looks good. So we got our pay items, our descriptions, our quantities listed here, unit of measurement, and so on. So now that it looks good, I'll just simply hit import. And that'll take us straight into our job. So as you can see, this is where you're going to tab out your job. So I don't have any prices listed here because I wanted to use this example to say, okay, we don't have our prices, but we want to see what is this job going to go for roughly. So list all my quantities, the descriptions, everything in the system. So the next portion we'll go to is on the side over here on the far left, you'll hit load comparison. And this is where you can start stacking yourself up against those counties, competitors, or just state averages. So the first one that I want to use, I'll double click, change that comparison name. Let's just change this to state averages for the last 3 years. So we'll make sure that's very clearly marked, and I'll hit OK. So this is where you're going to be able to analyze the data in the way that you want to and really hone in on what you're wanting to get out of it. So we want to list all pay items. Let's say we want to look up only low. What you could do is you could look up the lowest 2 times that it's been bid, or maybe the lowest 3 bids on specific pay items, but we'll just leave it at only the lowest averages. We'll leave all this open for project types, contractors, and let's just do the whole state. So we'll leave it there. And then, like I said, we'll do 3 years. So we'll go ahead and click that, and we'll hit load prices. So as you'll see, this brought in all of the averages, or all the low averages for the state over the last 3 years. So it's showing us what these bid prices are for each one of these pay items, what the extension was, and also a super helpful part the program is going to show you is how many times has this been bid in that time range that we've selected. So as you can see, maybe something that's bid once, so maybe like this culvert pipe 33 inch, maybe that's something, we'll take into consideration the price here, but it's only been bid once. However, something like, culvert pipe 24 inch, this has been bid 129 times. So this is letting us know if we've got a good sample size and we can really go off of that. Another example I wanted to use, and showing how we differ from just producing the data, but also give you other factors to include in that to help you with your pricing, is an index. So I'll go through here, and just to show you, these are some of the different selections we have here at the bottom. The one I'm going to use is we're going to use a state asphalt index to adjust the prices. So to do this, I'm going to really keep everything the same. Let's hit the plus mark. So we're going to add a new column and a new comparison, really. So we'll do state averages with index, and we'll hit OK. So now we're going to keep, like I said, everything the same, low prices, all counties, last 3 years. Only this time we're going to use the state asphalt index to adjust the prices, and then we'll hit load prices. So you'll notice that it's just going to continue to add our comparisons over here, so we can continue to scroll back and forth. But you'll notice over here, the prices did adjust because, we used that state asphalt index. So now we're kind of honing in on, okay, we're getting some consistent numbers here, 3.49 million, 3.48 million. So we're getting some consistency here, so that way we can compare our figures. I just wanted to show a few more comparisons. The next one would be, you can look at the specific county. So maybe we want to look at LaRue County averages. So I'll go ahead and hit save. And then the only difference in this one, so we're going to look up low as well. We're going to specifically select LaRue County because that's where this job is. So maybe LaRue County might be different. We don't know, but this is why we're wanting to check it. So we'll go ahead and hit the last 3 years, and then we'll hit load prices. So as you can see, a little bit difference here at the bottom. We have 3.2 million, but still staying really consistent with those state averages. So we're getting a really, really good idea, the more comparisons we have, about roughly how big this is going to be, and also being able to compare some of these pay item prices. So you can see like $99.42 here, $100 here, so a few cents difference. And then the final comparison that I wanted to show was stack yourself up against a competitor. So as we saw, Scotty's competes a good amount against Louisville Paving. So I want to see, where is Louisville Paving going to be specifically on this job, and what are they going to be bidding? Because that's who I'm going up against. So I really need to find out, what are their trends in pricing. So on this one, I'll keep actually I'll change this up a little bit. I want to see when Louisville Paving was competitive. So I'll look at the lowest two here. And this is where you can bring in the contractor. So now I'm going to bring in, whoop, I think I mistyped it there. So now I'm going to bring in Louisville Paving's prices specifically on this job. So there we brought in the contractor. We're going to look over the last 3 years, and I'll go ahead and hit load. And there you go. So staying very consistent with it, roughly speaking, on here, this is going to show what they're going to bid for these specific pay items. So as you can see, I got a 3.3 million for Louisville Paving. LaRue County is about 3.2. State averages are about 3.48. And then that's with the index. And then also without the index, it's about 3.49. And also I wanted to show one last one, out of the thought of it, to show you once again how you can critique the data. So on this one, I want to go ahead and let's name this one, let's see, this is going to be with parameters. So state averages with parameters. And I'll show you what I mean by this. So when I hit OK on this, we just added another comparison. On this one, we're going to keep all low prices. We're going to just do general, all counties. We'll do the last the last 3 years. And then we're going to hit set parameters. So maybe, it's good to have every time these pay items were bid, but maybe we want to see where they were bid on quantities that are, let's say, no less than half of our current quantities in this job. So we'll do 50%. And then we'll do no more than double the quantities of our current job. So we'll put 100. And since we've got some good comparisons here, they're all roughly about, 3.2 to 3.5 million. Let's look at all jobs that were $2 million to jobs that were about $5 million. I'll go ahead and hit save. And then we'll just simply hit load prices. So now this comparison is going to bring in every time these specific pay items were bid, where their quantities in the job were no less than half of my current quantities, no more than double. So as you can see, still staying super consistent with it. So now we know ballpark, we're going to be between about 3.5 million to about, I think the lowest was 3.26 million. So now we have a great idea of what we're going to bid. So at this point in the estimating life cycle, now let's say we go ahead and submit our bid. And for this example, let's say, good news, we won the job. So now we'll just go to buy job. And so, and actually we'll go ahead and hit yes to save our changes there. So on this job, we wanted to see, okay, we won it, which is fantastic. But now we want to see maybe some areas where we could keep more money from it, leave less money on the table, and just find areas that we can improve. So what I'll do for this one specifically is let's look up that job that we bid. So that was 2020-1036. As you can see, you can filter that down super quickly, but that was listing all jobs even back to 1993. So I selected that. And then on this one, I want to do a side-by-side comparison. So we're going to make this data super, super easy to look at and read through, literally within seconds, even with me explaining it. So I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison, 3 max, which you'll see that there, and then I'll click that. And we're going to do all contractors. So there was only 2 in this job. And what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to go ahead, and this is another powerful piece, but I'm going to go ahead and graph this data. So we're not just going to, list a bunch of black and white, tedious numbers, so you have to search through everything, but we're going to give you graphs to where it's super neat and clean and easy to sort through. So this is going to give us a breakdown of the job. There were only 2 competitors. There was Scotty's and there was Louisville Paving. But where could we have possibly kept more money on this job? So looking at this, everything generally speaking, is pretty similar numbers, pretty close, but the one that really stands out is this grading and excavation. Now we bid $475,000 and they bid $918, so we were about half. So let's say now specifically, I want to get super granular, once again, using this left portion over here, and I want to break this down and see, well, what pay items did we get beat on so bad that we were about half? Where could we have left less money on the table? So what I want to do is I'll just simply go over here to the side, and I am going to, oh, I'm sorry, clicked on the wrong thing here. I'm going to go down to categories, and then since it's grading and excavation, I'm just going to filter that down, and I want to search the grading and excavation specifically. So now I'll go ahead and just generate this report. So what you're going to see on here is the side-by-side comparison. I got Scotty's, I have Louisville Paving, and now I've got specifically, once again, those 1 of 31 categories, looking at grading and excavation. So once again, not too far off from each other if you're looking at these figures starting at the bottom, but here's where I'm noticing some differences. So ditching, we bid about half, or actually less than half what they did here at $2.14, and they were at $5. And then the huge one that I'm noticing is the roadway excavation. So we bid $14 a unit and they bid $28. So like I said, it's great that we were able to win this job, but we also want to make as much money on this job as possible. So this is where BidTabs is going to help you with that post-bid analysis in the by job section up here to see, okay, where can we improve in some of those areas? And maybe there's another job similar to this that we're going to compete against Louisville Paving. So now we can take this knowledge moving forward and know we can bid a little bit higher, still win it, but also make more money on this job. The other thing I wanted to notate was, as you all remember seeing those figures in BidTabs plus section, by getting those state and county averages and stacking ourselves against competition, we got a general idea that the job was going to be between about 3.2 and 3.5 million at its highest. Well, here's what the actual job went for right here. The job actually went at $3.44 million. So as you can see, we, even with, once again, me explaining it, we're able to compare all those prices with the averages and competitors and see that it was going to be within that range. And this was spot on, exactly where it was awarded. So once again, an awesome way that you can see, how close that figure got you, and let you know if you need to make small tweaks based off those averages or against your competition. So now that we've used the post-bid analysis, this is where you can use the program on your actual job. So the next one I'm going to go to is our by pay item report. And the reason for this is another huge area that our customers use this program, which is justifying change orders. So in justifying those change orders, for a state project, they might ask you, how did you all come to this price? We need some backing on how did you get this figure? Well, that's no problem if you have BidTabs.net, because what you'll do is you'll simply go to the pay item or by pay item report. So you can see there's multiple report types. We're just going to do an averages report because we kind of need to get a ballpark figure what this change order should be and then the cost of it. And then we're going to look up the specific pay item. And on this one, I wanted to look up a pay item from that job we just did, which is 01208. So we got some pipe culvert head wall. And on this one, maybe I don't want to look up just the lowest prices. I do want to get a fair figure on this. Maybe I want to look up the lowest four, so the lowest 4 times that it was bid. So I'll click on that. We'll do all project types. We'll look at all counties because we want to look at the whole state. And then we'll look at, let's say, the last 3 years. And then all I'll do is hit generate report. So this is a quick way, like I said, within seconds, you could look up specifically what you needed. And here's where you can give that justification for your price for that change order. So it's got our description and our pay item here. It shows you when the average quantity it was bid, what the weighted average was, the highest bid, the lowest bid. And most of all, it's going to show you how many times that was bid. So, you know, if you're having to go to the state and justify that change order price, you can say, look, over the last 3 years for the whole state, this has been bid 207 times. This is where I'm getting my backing from my pricing, and you're able to go through and show that. So really, like I said, my whole goal was to paint a picture of the life cycle of the full estimate at the beginning, through, and also at the end, and do some of that post-bid analysis and see what competitors are bidding, and also justify change orders. So with this, that kind of wraps up everything with BidTabs, and also wanted to just kind of let you know, we just kind of did a high-level overview of the program, but this program will get as deep as you need to and as granular as you need to. So before we go to questions, if anybody wants to set up a private demo, we can go through this program. We can look up specific data or competition that you want to see or certain figures. And we'd be more than happy to walk you through that and show you how, you know, maybe this is tailored towards you specifically and not just kind of a general approach. But we wanted to make that that very clear that we're happy to go through it with you. So on that note, it looks like we have a few questions that have come up here. So I'll go ahead, and I think I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey here. She's going to kind of read some of these questions so we can go through them and make sure we get you some good answers.
Hi everyone, like Will said, my name is Kelsey. I am the marketing specialist here. We did have a couple questions come through for Will. So the first one is, the state I work in has some pay items that are different on every job, even though they have the same pay item number. How do I handle those items?
It's a good question. So we do see that pop up, you know, every once in a while, specifically kind of depending on some states. So basically the way that you would handle that is, let's see, let me get this set up here. The way that we would handle that is you would go to the pay item search. And so this is really helpful in multiple ways. If there is a pay item description, then you can go ahead and type in that description here to help pull it up. And you can type in the pay item number, or you can kind of do that vice versa. Maybe you can, you know, maybe if there's not the specific pay item number, specific description, this will at least get you in the ballpark and help you figure out, you know, this is something that's really, really similar to it. What did this go for? And just being able to search that and, like I said, be able to utilize both of these, whether it's a description or a pay item number, to find it. And like I said, if it's not specifically it, then it's going to at least pull up every single item so you can see what's most similar to it and get a good idea of the pricing.
Perfect, great. So the next question is, how often is the data updated, and how do I get data updates?
So another good question. So I think that's also an opportunity to talk about our data team. So we work specifically and have partnerships with DOTs. And with that, our in-house data team gets the data from them. They actually scrub this data. So that's another good point is not only are we getting you the data, but we're also making sure that it's verified and that has been scrubbed and everything is correct. So as soon as we get that data, our in-house team will scrub it, make sure everything looks good. And at that point, they will go ahead and post it. And at that moment as well, it's already been verified with the DOT. It's been confirmed, it's accurate. And right after that point, we'll go ahead and post that data so then you can look it up immediately.
Perfect. Next question. So if I purchase a license, do I have access to all the data for all the states?
So the way that the licensing works is it's on a per user, per state basis. So if you, let's say if I were, with ABC company and I wanted to get a license, I personally would have my own login, and then I would have to get, let's say, start with one state. Each user can add as many states as they would like, but it is specifically for that user. So so that way, you can get as many states as you want, obviously, but it is on that per user, per state basis.
Great. Next question. Do you guys offer any customized solutions for DOTs?
Yes, we do. I'm glad that was asked too. So we, like I mentioned, work with multiple DOTs. So we have created custom programs for them specifically to use. And a way that I'll actually show that, I think this will be a good example to see. So on the BidTabs Plus section, for DOTs to tab out jobs and see what the state averages are, this is a good way for DOT specifically to be able to look up, what prices are for different pay items and, roughly how much that job's going to be bid. So, or how big it's going to be. So using this, I'll go to project settings here, and MoDOT is one of the DOTs we work with. So I will go ahead and select them. So let's see Missouri here. And then just to show an example here, so once I do, let's see, the project settings. So as you noticed down here at the bottom, additional settings button popped up. So if I click on that, it's going to have information that that is not, for every single BidTabs license, but we did this specifically for Missouri DOT. So as you can see, we've got, a funding options tab that they needed. So we customized that for them. We also have STIP information they needed. So built that into the program for them. And also just on the general information tab. So, they needed to have the districts here, primary counties, so got all the counties listed there. And also for them specifically, they needed even stuff like longitude and latitude. So, so you can specifically go into the program, literally click right on the map, click a point on it, and it's going to preload all that. So all this information was actually built for MoDOT and customized for them. So yes, so we do have a customized approach. Like I said, we work directly with multiple DOTs, and they actually use this specifically, but it is different for multiple DOTs, so we can create a customized approach.
Awesome. And another question, so what's the difference between the data on BidTabs versus what the DOTs publish?
It's a good question. So first of all, we want to be very clear. This is the information that the DOTs publish. So it's public information. Where the value is created though for BidTabs is the depth of information, the amount of information. If you for whatever reason needed to dig back to starting at year 2000, that would be pretty difficult to find. But with a few clicks and a few seconds, you can pull that information up. So the other portions of it as well is stuff that you will not get just by looking up what DOTs publish is, yeah, you'll see the pay items, you'll break it down, it'll take you longer to do. But what you're not going to get is you're not going to get stuff like, for instance, the market analysis. You're not going to get competitor analysis. You're also not going to get BidTabs Plus. So it would take a long time to stack yourself up against competition. But as you saw, with the power of the program, I'm able to just simply compare myself against those state averages. I can whittle it down to county averages, competition, and get a quick ballpark figure, which, as you saw when the job was awarded, very, very close, literally within about a couple $100,000 or less than that. I was able to see that within about 5 minutes of pulling that up. So where we differ from the free information you can get is giving you these extra tools to stack yourself up against that competition, look at your market analysis, find stuff on particular jobs. So it's not just the regular data, but it's also those other services that are provided that are going to help you utilize those numbers, not just get them, but use them towards your advantage and how you're going to help your company win those bids and also keep more money.
Awesome. I think that's all we've got for right now. But thank you so much, Will.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kelsey. Well, I appreciate everyone's time again today, and I mean that's going to conclude our BidTabs webinar. And I just the last thing is just want to invite anyone and everyone that if you guys want to see a demo, you can call Paul or myself, or just call into the office so we can get you connected to anybody on our team that can help out and show you the program. So we would love to maybe show you, like I said, some of your competition or maybe certain numbers that you're wanting to get, and we could dive into you specifically and show you how this program is going to help you. So I appreciate your time today. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and please let us know any way that we can help.